Dum. Dum, dum, dum. Okay. What's going on here? There we are. Can anyone hear me? What the fuck? I'm muted, but I'm getting big repetition. This is strange. Am I echoing? Off to a great start here. Fucking hell. Slightly better. Nope, I'm pressing mute, but you can still fucking hear me. Feedback, feedback, feedback. Evening all. No, don't want that one. Oh my goodness. There we are. Oh, and look, there's a shirt. I look more like David fucking Mitchell than I ever did. Unflattering angle, but hey ho, it is what it is. Good evening, folks. Let's see, got to move stuff back in. Yeah, whatever, we get it. So, hope everyone's doing well. Oh man, I completely forgotten how to do this, and my t-shirt is fucking choking me because of these fucking dungarees. There we go, we'll loosen it up at the back a bit. In fact, 1 second. Yeah, welcome to Mitchell Web. Defo. Ooh, I'm 32 years old and I'm grunting as I'm sitting down. Well, I know it's kind of pointless doing this now, but we start every stream with...
The Devils Burn. An explosive film. Absolutely brilliant. ABC TV. Superbly, frighteningly effective. Time magazine.
But of course I can prove nothing. This Mother Superior may be little more than a hysterical nun.
Exactly. Mere conjecture.
And what form does this incubus take?
The Devils is not a film for everyone. Vanessa Redgrave, Oliver Reed, in Ken Russell's film of The Devils. This picture has been rated X. No one under 17 admitted.
And it's staying on the screen for much longer than it should do. off to a fucking amazing start. It's been a little while since the last one, but massive, massive thank you nonetheless. Thank you to all of those who I've now probably deafened with all that feedback, but it was an effect used a lot in the 70s, so that's my excuse. It's got nothing to do with my sheer incompetence. Not as crazy of a film as I was hoping for. Yeah, The Devils, Ken Russell. Fantastic film. But when you hear all the notoriety and then like the raping of Jesus, is that what they labelled the scene? You think, oh, it's going to be like really non-stop. It's actually not a timid sort of film, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Still a beautiful, beautiful, beautifully made film. And Oliver Reed, Vanessa Redgrave. What more do you want? So, this is still technically episode 2. I was too lazy to make a new thumbnail, so that's why it's not episode 3. So this is part 2 of episode 2, even though it's like weeks after the original one. And I think it's time that we opened up a beer. So, I've got a can of Cloudy Pale from Off Tempo. Well, no, it's Bad Brew Co. Off Tempo. Juicy and unctuous with notes of mango and passion fruit. Extremely smooth mouthfeel. Pick this up from a local Asda. 440ml. ABV is 6.1, so it's not really a pale, is it? But hey ho, we're not going to get into the semantics of beer styles. And then I've got a can of Elvis juice, also purchased from Asda, a little bit later on. So yeah, tonight we're having a look at the DVD collection, which is, I'm sure you guys are absolutely beside yourselves with excitement at that prospect of looking at a man and his DVDs. But people enjoyed the Blu-ray one, so yeah, and as I said, I'm still trying to figure out a good sort of system for pre-recorded streams, and of course live streams with guests, because I know Paul Pierre Brunius would definitely be someone I would happily have on to discuss films. I think once we've done the collection side of things, the next episode I'm probably going to do, a little bit obvious, is like top 10 films of all time, something like that. And it'll probably be another live sort of stream affair, so you guys can tell me yours. But anyway, we'll get to that bridge probably a few months down the line when episode 3 gets done. Yeah, it's not bad then. Anyway, so massive thank you all so far for joining. Apologies about the technical difficulties at the start, but a quick shout out to Thomas. I've got Paul, we've got Luke, we have got Pedro. In fact, let's get the names up there so you can see them. James Rothwell as well. Some absolute legends in tonight. And there we go. Sacrilege, I'm on Whiskey Coke. I do have Jack Daniel's Distiller's Cask, or one of the Distiller's series, which I've hardly opened. But I've been wanting to get some spiced rum again, because that used to be my drink of choice when I'd like go to, when house parties were a thing and gatherings. Although they will be soon, won't they? We seem to be getting more sort of liftings of restrictions than we were expecting next week, which is always good. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. I hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. If you're having a drink, I hope you're having a good one. Let me know what you're drinking, that sort of thing. So I think I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm going to try and not be as dependent on the comments as last time. Not because I'm an ignorant prick, which I am, but because there was a lot less Blu-rays compared to DVDs, and that stream went on probably a little bit longer than anticipated. So I'm aiming to be finished by either 10 or 10:30. So challenge accepted. Calico Jack, cheap, good spice rum. Interesting. See, I like very basic, sort of like a Captain Morgan's spiced, or Bacardi Oak. But I want to branch out a little bit. maybe pay a little bit more. But then again, I'm not a connoisseur of this sort of stuff, so cheap and cheerful can do me right, especially if I'm having it with like Coke or something. Of the liquid variety, not the powdered form. Anyway, so we'll get straight into it. He's already said that. Good evening, Terry. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Cheers. Thank you for joining. So, yeah, kicking things off. These are in no particular order, by the way. I just got them off the shelf. And, yeah, so you'll be seeing different labels mixed in and then genres not together and yada, yada, yada. But, hey-ho. So we've got a copy of Violet Cop from Takeshi Kitano. And there's going to be plenty of times where I get names wrong. I forget names. I forget film titles because I'm dead passionate about this stuff, obviously. But yeah, good sort of like Hong Kong, little bit brutal action. I know BFI have recently released a box set, which I think this is part of on Blu-ray. But yeah, I like this. It's got really cool car chase in it. It's got that sort of like offbeat comedy, but then it gets really serious and quite dark in places. And yeah, I've only ever watched it once though, which is probably something you're going to hear all the time. Who released this? Second Sight, so it's a Second Sight DVD. Then we've got the Anchor Bay release of The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. I love this film. This is a good sort of like brooding, atmospheric zombie film. The English dub is hilarious. Obviously, the alternate title is The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue and Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. I think I got this in a trade. Enjoy the films. Let me know what you think of Manchester Morgue. Cheers, Emerson from Homer on Acid. I think that's a name from back in the Mondo Squalido days. Be interested actually to see what sort of just like random paperwork I've got. But yeah, this is a really nice Anchor Bay DVD release. It's got a nice booklet in there. I don't know. I think this is just a really awesome film. And it's not like the most graphic of zombie films or anything like that, but it's just brimming with atmosphere. Plus, Ray Lovelock's English dub on this is really, really funny. Oh, look, it's a zombie! And of course, you've got the legendary Arthur Kennedy in there as well as Christine Galbo. Directed by Jorg Grau. And I think this is sort of like an Italian-Spanish production, and as James says, great locations. The place where the antique shop is, that's by, if I remember correctly, that's by Manchester Victoria, isn't it? It's like across the road from Manchester Victoria and a little bit up the road. But I think a lot of the film was filmed in the Peak District, if I remember correctly. And Manchester only really appears in the film at the start when he's in his antique shop and he goes on his bike. But yeah, there's a great speech from Arthur Kennedy about like the youth of the time, the long hair and can we say faggy clothing? Is that the line? Yeah, that's Manchester. I believe we walked by. We did indeed, Paul. I was going to call you Thomas, as if you're like Paul Thomas Anderson, but yeah, it's good when you see good filming locations. My mate Colin, who I haven't spoke to for a while, used to be known on YouTube as 42nd Street Forever. He's now known as The Deuce Lives, as in the Deuce on 42nd Street. And he actually went to the house that they used in The Beyond, and it's pretty much the exact same as it is in the film. And he did some really good videos in there. And like the people around the house were like, just, yeah, come in. Just invited a stranger into the home from the UK. Which, by the way, The Beyond is a great film. I need to bulk up again on like the classic Lucha Vulture, Argento. Yeah, all the sort of like really easy to get hold of, you know, quintessential films. But I sold a lot of them off. as we discussed last time. Dovedale. Is that where it's filmed? I mean, my favourite zombie from that film. I'm sure there'll be a photo of him. Look at that. Look at that poster artwork. No profana el sueño de los muertos. Original Spanish artwork for. There you go. Where's that zombie? This, yeah, the iconic. That one there, the one who's got like the rope around his neck. It's just a really good film. Really, really is. And this is a really nice release. I know there's better releases now on like Blu-ray and stuff. But I was very happy to have that. I need to rewatch that actually. Next up, we've got a film from my childhood. One that I used to watch a lot, pretty much like most Halloweens with my mum when she'd get like cheap videos from like Music Zone and stuff. And this is this is the German DVD release of Die Fantastische Reise ins Jenseits, Lady in White. Awesome, awesome film. It's just it's one of those not really made for kids, but kind of like for kids. Almost like the Willies. Great double feature with this and the Willies. But yeah, it's just a really cool film. There's a really creepy scene where you just see the white lady floating in the air or something like that. Again, been a hell of a long time since I watched that. And I'm sure, again, there's much better releases of that on DVD. Speaking of, here's the German release of the Willies as well. Even though it's got a UK... Hang on a minute, where's this actually from? Yeah, it's a German release. I might have used a different case from like CEX. But again, great anthology film, that one. This is just a good classic sort of ghost story. But yeah, two great films, and I need to upgrade to better release of those because they take me back to when I was a kid. Here we've got an obscenely dusty version of a double feature of The Vampire Lovers and Lust for a Vampire. I had a sort of like obsession with, and I still do to an extent, of pretty gothic girls, well, gothic era girls in those like long linen sort of white like dresses, but it like covered the whole body, but instead flimsy and like, do you know what I mean? Especially was it Susanna Lee or Barbara Jefford who has that famous scene where it's like her gown's like cut all the way down to there. There's just something about that sort of outfit on a woman, just fantastic, and you know, just good stuff, just really good stuff. Can't beat a bit of Hammer horror, and again, worthy of an upgrade, but good double feature on Halloween. Let's see, my DVD collection would take me hours long without comment reading. Yeah, it's I sold a hell of a lot off. We mentioned it last night. Like Vinegar Syndrome would send me their new releases pretty much every month while I was doing the reviewing. So I had a lot of review stuff, and I felt dead guilty selling it all, but needs must, and went to a good home. Very sexy for the time, definitely. Vampiress is great too. Love Lady in White very much. Tearjerker. Love The Vampire Lovers. Yeah, those sort of like, I'm big on lesbian vampire needs too. We're keeping that one up for a little bit. But yeah, there's just something about that aesthetic that I really, really like. Next up, we've got a bit more of a contemporary Nordic. It's either Nordic or I don't know what the country of origin of this is. Finnish. It's a Finnish film called Frozen Land. And it's like, from what I remember, it's one of those films where they're like three interlocking stories. So it's like, because I tend to find like international filmmakers have sort of like different sensibilities, and they're more inclined to go to places you wouldn't, like a British or like American director probably wouldn't really go to unless they were like really hugely independent, low budget stuff like the Lucifer Valentine films or August Underground. There's nothing like that in this film, but it is dark, it's funny, and it shows you stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see in more sort of mainstream English language films, and that's why I like a lot of European and foreign cinema. Another good example of that is The Idiots from Lars von Trier, the first film from the Dogma Manifesto, which was all about making films as natural as possible. Again, just shows you stuff that you won't really see in other films. It's basically about, I think it's like a film about loads of well-to-do people who are just bored with their life, and then they essentially decide that they want to go around behaving as if they've got learning disabilities, or and it's like you'd never be able to make a film like that today. But I think even Lars von Trier gets his dick out in this film. Bit of pointless trivia for you. And there's a penetration shot. Yeah, exploring the inner idiot, which of course is, I don't feel that people like that are idiots, obviously, but there are people who are of a higher class in terms of its system who look down on people, and it's a strange film, but I'll have to put up. And Tartan used to do some really good releases. You've got some really good Japanese, Korean films from Tartan as well. Then we've got from second run 3 films by Mark Isaacs: Lift, Travellers, and Calais: The Last Border. Picked this up mainly because while I was studying film at Liverpool John Moores, our documentary tutor, who's actually a really good DJ, Keith Marley, his name is, funny guy as well, dead trendy, and he showed a documentary, The Lift, which I think is actually on YouTube, and it's basically just Mark Isaacs is in like a block of flats, and all it is just him sat in this lift or elevator for my American language friends. How condescending do you sound? And just films them, gets to know them, sees their interactions, and they open up to him. And it's just a really sort of like fascinating human piece, I suppose you will. The other 2 documentaries I'm not the biggest fan of, but that is really good and highly recommended. Next up, we've got a couple of Shriek Show releases, 2 giallos. Again, I know beforehand there's much better releases of these 2 films. We'll get around to upgrading eventually. But we've got My Dear Killer, which is, who's directed this? A film by Tonino Valeri, sorry, George Hilton. Music by Ennio Morricone. It's a giallo film. I don't remember much of this, because as much as I love the genre, it's like any genre really. Sometimes you just come across films that are just a little bit but I can't really remember that. I'll have to put that on the list to watch. And then the next one is a Lucha Vulture classic, Lizard in a Woman's Skin. Very hallucinogenic, psychedelic. There's rarely, if this is the correct film, once again, Ennio Morricone does the score. If I remember correctly, there was a really controversial scene of like skinned dogs or animals on a hook, on like a hook or something like that. And I think it was sort of like what happened to Diodato with Cannibal Holocaust, where he had to prove that it was actually just, special effects. But we've talked about it before, the gore with Lucio Fulci. Sometimes it's so over the top that it's just like insane. But I don't get this with any other director. when I see Lucha Vulture gore that's a little bit too much and over the top and unrealistic, it makes me instantly think, imagine if that's what is inside you as a person. Imagine if that's what happens when you have your stomach cut open. Do you know what I mean? There's just that grotesque. And I didn't realise, but there's been a Lucha Vulture biopic released in the last couple of years, which uses footage, like behind the scenes footage as well. Because I was obviously looking on YouTube to get some trailers and TV spots to put in between clips on this. So I'd be interested to watch that. Could potentially make a good double feature with that and Abel Ferrara's Pasolini. Then we've got, I know there's a good comment there from Pedro, which we will get to. Oh, I didn't realise there was a cardboard in there. Joe D'Amato's Emmanuel in America. Schlocky goodness. Starts off with a horse getting wanked off and has probably one of the most authentic looking snuff segments in cinema. And I'm talking about like modern, compared to modern films that have been like categorized as snuff or trying to replicate what a snuff film would be. But yeah, good schlocky goodness. Laura Gems there. Joe D'Amato coming together. Good stuff indeed. I think this has had a recent sort of upgrade in terms of release. I'd love to get one of those black Emmanuel box sets. Because I do still like DVD. For the longest time, I was just completely against buying Blu-rays. But then I got an Xbox One and the capability to play Blu-rays, so I started buying much more Blu-rays, or many more Blu-rays. Lars von Trier's The Idiot, Bonkers starring Trish Midson, plus also in La Photo di Delirium film. I never knew that. Never knew that. That biopic is on Prime, says James. I shall have to look for that. Yeah, Fulci for fake. Just got this in the mail. Blu-ray DVD combo. Love Emmanuel in America. Again, I have to watch that. Rewatch that because I just really, really enjoy it. I just love how it sets the tone with how the film starts. I love that. Like Strip Nude for Your Killer. Good segue. This film like starts off with an abortion. And then it's just sleazy, classic Andrea Bianchi. Dusties are. I need to look after those from the Shameless label. But yeah, what was I talking about before I did that? I don't know. Yeah, and brain fart. Harry says Emmanuel sponsored by Movies for Men. Yeah, war films throughout the day, and then really cheesy, heavily censored softcore films in the early hours. Next up, we've got... I didn't realise that film was part of this. We've got Fug City Chronicles, 10 OG films, 100% snitch-free, Volume 1, International Fug Film Collection. It's one of those sort of box sets akin to... oh my god, what's the company that's known for like really cheap, like 100 classic monster movies? What is that? And every now and then they produce some really good box sets where some of the prints are absolutely awful. There's some unwatchable prints on this box set. But sometimes it's the only way you can easily get hold of very hard to find films without obviously resorting to paying over the odds for like a special edition. What are they called? because they did that like biker film box set and all that sort of stuff, and like adventure film box set. I'm sure someone will say in the comments. But this has got Tony Arzenta, which is a crime film starring Alain Delon. Bandidos, which is thug life in the spaghetti west shootouts, beatdowns and lots of cash. Can't remember those two. Blind Rage, equal opportunity bank heist with Fred Williamson, leading blind men into a bank, a must-see film. Godfather's Daughter, the trials are against a one-woman kill machine when the Godfather's kids go for revenge. Let's see. We've got the Italian Mob trilogy, which is Manhunt, The Boss, and Milan Caliber 9, which are Fernando de Leo films. Which, by the way, I've got the Raro release of those, which we'll talk about a bit more. City Rats, which is Life is Hard on the Streets of Mexico, and Children of the Ultimate Sewer Rats committing hard crimes. Thugs in the Making. Some of these I've not watched. The New Mafia Boss, the family of the victim will not be notified. Hard Living in the Mafia, led by Telly Savalas. And then there's Redneck, which is a really good film. Redneck, starring Telly Savalas and Franco Nero, who are like low-level criminals who sort of like break into a house or something like that. It's been a long time, but box sets like that, and we'll just take two from the pile here, because they're all about connecting. Sort of like these box sets from Pop Flicks, the Crime Boss and then the Mafia Kingpin. And, you know, if you wanted to get into your Polizio Tesci, these are a great way of experiencing some really good films. Some of the prints are really good, but most of them are just awful. And as someone who likes like fuzzy prints and like VHS quality versions of films, sometimes it can be a little bit too unbearable. But yeah, and I've had a few more. Mill Creek, there we go. I kept saying to myself, Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay, but Anchor Bay are completely different sort of ones. So I've got a few Anchor Bays in here, but on these two, digitally remastered, they're not. We've got Mr. Scarface, which is another film by Fernando de Leo, probably one of the weaker Fernando de Leo crime films for me. The Cop in Blue Jeans, which is heavily cut, directed by Bruno Corbucci. Sergio Corbucci's, was it his brother or father? I can't remember. Starring Thomas Millian, a legend, and Jack Palance. Then there's The Cynic, the Rat, the Fist, my favourite Italian crime film. I've got the 88 Films Blu-ray release, and I've got the DVD release here somewhere. We'll get to it, don't worry. No one's worrying, Peter. Then we've got The Master Touch, starring Kirk Douglas. And then Violet Naples, which I need to get a proper release of Violet Naples because I really like Violet Naples. Starring Maurizio Merli, John Saxon again, and Barry Sullivan. And then the second one's got Crime Boss, which is on that box set. Street Law, starring Franco Nero, awesome film. Revolver, which stars Oliver Reed and Fabio Testi, another awesome film. Confessions of a Police Captain, which is more of a police procedural film, as opposed to like a out-and-out gangster crime flick. And then Death Rage, starring Yul Bremner, directed by Antonio Margheriti. Again, quality varies from film to film on those box sets. Then we've got Just Watch Thriller and Grim Film, aka The Cat They Call Her One Eye, by your recommendation on Mondo Squilido channel. Impressive exploitation cult. Yes, probably for me, like the quintessential exploitation film. I love that film. It's a very slow burner, and if you're going to watch it, you're going to have to watch the hardcore version of it because it's just a little bit more penetrative and hard-hitting. But yeah, classic film. Christina Lindbergh is just a stunner. And that's just a grim, I don't know, downbeat film, and I love it. And I'm not sure if that's had a Blu-ray release yet. And then the Jimmy O Show says, have you been fishing, Pierre? Well, after felling chimneys, I thought I'd treat myself to a nice fishing trip. Nah then. But evening, Jimmy. Hope you're doing well. In fact, it's getting a little bit warm now, so it's time for the gun show. They're not guns, they're just masses of fat. Next up, we've got Rats, Night of Terror, by the legend that is Bruno Mattei. And another old friend of mine actually did the notes, this Jack Jensen, an Australian guy living in Austria, what was it? Or the Netherlands? I can't remember. Australia, Netherlands. Just what Shark got. Yeah, it's grim and bleak. Yeah. That's it. Some people probably find it really boring, but I love it just because it's just so downbeat. There's no reprise in that film. But yeah, Rats Night Terror. Got the 88 films released this, which is a gorgeous release. So, film I suppose I could sell on if it's worth anything. Then we've got Pigsty by Pierre Paolo Pasolini. Not going around to watching this yet. I started watching The Gospel According to Andrew, but fell asleep because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, which is never a good time to watch films. But yeah, I just like the imagery in this, and I wanted to sort of like really get into Pasolini's films and his writings and stuff like that. Let's see. Fair play, sir. I've given you a like. Why, thank you, sir. I'm more of a Dario Argento fan myself. I love On the Buses. An Argento classic. And I can't think of any memorable lines from On the Buses. So I was trying to think of a witty joke, but that never worked. Next up, we've got a bootleg of Vultures Over the City, which is another Maurizio Merli film, because I had the idea that I wanted to write a zine on the crime, well, the films of Maurizio Merli. So I was just looking for any way to get hold of releases, and this was released by ZDD. I'm not sure if that website's still going. I think this is from, well, obviously it's from a VHS. Can't remember too much about this, and I'll have to cover that up because it's got women's breasts, and we all know that women's breasts will lead you down a path of debauchery and a seat next to the devil. Then we've got my favourite Nazi exploitation film, SS Girls, from Bruno Mattei. Just schlocky. It's grim in places. It's a little bit more hard-hitting than some others. This was released by Exploitation Digital. It's an official release, but it doesn't really scream official release. But it's a good film. It's a good time. Then we've got La Settima Donna, or Verflucht zum Toten. And this is House on the Beach, or Last House on the Beach, something like that. Basically, the sort of like English title was just to cash in on like Last House on the Left and that sort of stuff. With Ray Lovelock, basically it's like a gang of criminals who they've just done like a robbery or something, and then they basically home invade. Is it a nunnery? I can't really remember too much. Awesome release this out of Austria, I think this is, from Satsuma.com. the Italian Genre Cinema Collection. But yeah, alternative titles: The Last House on the Beach and Terror, Verflucht zum Toten, Junge Mädchen zur Liebe gezwungen. Starring Florinda Balkan, Ray Lovelock, directed by Franco Prosperi, and I can't remember who does the soundtrack for this, but it's a fucking awesome. Is it Roberto? Yeah, Roberto Crodagio, and you get the soundtrack with this. Nice DVD release. I like the way these releases have been released. Oh yeah, and nice artwork on that as well. Another one, sort of similar. This is from Koch Media, and this is a film starring Mario Adorf. Der Tod trägt schwarzes Leder, or Leder, I should say. Get your German correct. How fucking camp did I sound then? This is What Have They Done to Your Daughters, if I remember correctly, part of the Schoolgirls in Peril trilogy. This is a really nice release. I love the artwork on this. I think it is slightly cut, but if I remember correctly, the Shameless release is fully cut. But I'd like to buy it as part of the actual trilogy. But yeah, sort of like Polizio Tesci. I think there's maybe some slight and it's scuffed, which is very annoying. I think there's some sort of giallo aspects in this as well. I just love the simplicity of that artwork. It's like a gig poster or something like that. I love it. Let's see. Is The Night Porter any good? I saw it on CX today. I was going to pick it up. I've never watched that. I've never watched that. It's one of those like classics that I think you need to watch, but I've just never got round to it. But from what I've heard, it's a very good film. Is there any naked women in SS Girls PC? Yes, there are, with typical 70s unflattering tits. The woman from Last House on the Beach is also in Don't Torture a Duckling. She is indeed. Another classic Fulci film. Very gruesome. What happens to her. And I'm not going to spoil anymore, but the ending of this film, it goes into what I've said about the gore of Lucio Fulci. With what happens at the end, if that happened to a person, it would be fucking disgusting. But yeah, another classic film. I very much need to upgrade to the Arrow release of this. But yeah, good stuff. And Florinda Balkan was also in La Homme, or Footsteps on the Moon, or Footprints. They say it's a giallo, but it's more of a sci-fi film. And it's probably got the easiest paycheck that Klaus Kinski ever received. Nice visuals in this film. And what's this note? Pete, the collection looks fantastic. I may have to get a copy for myself. Keep rocking it, my friend. I still have to check out those links to your Mondo Squilido collections, volumes 2 and 5. Mr. Snickers 21, Bill. And then, hey Pete, P.S. I know you wanted to build a movie library as opposed to a collection, so I made an 8-in-1 set which I bought in Sydney. Strange release, questionable quality, right up your street. Enjoy. Just hanging around. Not sure who sent me that. But yeah, I used to love doing trades and people just sending me films out of the kindness of the heart. But yes, there's Footprints, keeping that Florinda Balkan connection going. Let's see. The Women from yeah. Do you still have the Immoral Tales box set for Larry Brovchik rules? No, I don't. That's another film that I sold because I missed out on that the box set that Arrow did of all the films. So yeah, Immoral Tales is good. Labette is good as well, which I think isn't like the original version of Labette in Immoral Tales, and then he expanded on it. But yeah, he's a good director. And I just need to rebuild my collection up. Jimmy O says he'll buy it. And 70s Tits and Foos. Bush is fantastic. Florent de Balkan. Yeah, I do like a bit of 70s Bush. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, we've got my favourite Mondo film. And helped me name the channel, really, Mondo Squalido. My channel was Matai of the Dead, named after Bruno Matai. And this is Libido Mania, which is a very politically incorrect Mondo film. And I just love it because it's so trampy and schlocky. They've got an actor pretending to be a scientist doing a documentary. I know Joe D'Amato. There's a Mondo film coming out or being released. Can't remember who by, but it's a Mondo documentary centered around like a girlfriend of David Bowie, and it's like a music career. But yeah, the whole Mondo sort of genre, very hit and miss. Some of them are just really, really bad. Mondo Carne 1 and 2 are okay. Libido Mania is great. Can't remember any other examples. I know there's like Goodbye Uncle Tom, or is it Good Night Uncle Tom? Can't remember. Not to be mixed up with the British TV miniseries. Sorry, John 4. Let's see. From the Balkan, James says Labette is Jarvis Cocker's favourite film. I can imagine that. I can actually totally see him enjoying that film. It is a good film. I like the sort of like sensuous sort of 70s films. Sort of like cheeky. And Vanessa Kitty says hi. Good evening, Vanessa. Hope you're doing well. So we're coming to the end of the first pile, and what time is it? It's already 9:20. So we've got two Raro video films, label out of Italy. We've got Umberto Lenzi's, these DVDs are so dusty, Gang War in Milan, which is a cool little flick. Sort of has that, because there's a French element, I do get a little bit of a French Connection sort of vibe, which a lot of the Italian crime films did lift from, obviously. But yeah, let's see. Cast, so it's Philippe Leroy, Antonio Casagrande, Carla Romanelli. There's just something satisfying about an mid-action shot of someone getting shot in a 70s film. Yeah, Raro are a really great label. I've got a few in the collection. But yeah, this is a cool film. And then we've got Young, Violent and Dangerous, starring Thomas Millian. Looking snazzy as fuck there, with his longer hair, moustache. Basically, it's sort of like a social commentary on... what would you say? Well, it's written by Fernando De Leo, who is a very sort of like socially conscious director. In fact, a lot of directors out of Italy, considering they were producing like really low budget, schlocky films just to make money, there was a lot of, political aspects to it and socio-economic aspects to the films, and loads of like political, social undertones. So if you are an intellectual or an academic, you could find value in these films as well. Jarvis Cocker's film is Labette. Lol. Yeah, it is funny. Old Jarvis Cocker from Sheffield, Viking Labette. I tell you what, I bet he'd be really good hosting a film night. Brian says evening. Mersey Beer says sorry to interrupt. Knock knock. The 70s porn stash, yes. If I could rock it or if I grow it. If I could grow it, I'd definitely rock it with my corduroy dungarees. But yeah, it's basically like a group of kids pissed off with the system. They go on like a rampage, and Thomas Millian is the detective who goes after them and looks really fucking cool while he does it. But then sort of like questions the whole, oh, society looks down on these people, that sort of thing. I am neither one of those, says Paul. Not sure what that's in relation to. But because we've gotten down the first pile, I think it's time that we watched. Why am I looking at that? I think it's time we watched another trailer.
Don't get murdered this weekend. See two for the price of one. An ungodly human monster with paralyzing needles stalks his victims in the black belly of the tarantula. And the weekend murders. The butler's body was the first body they found. You'll never believe where they found the others. In the weekend murders. The black belly of the tarantula. The weekend murders. A whodunit and a what did it.
Every day, on every street, in every city, women are insulted, abused, threatened.
Nana, what's the matter?
What's the matter with you?
Are you planning on going with someone? Would you like to go with me?
Much too beautiful to be a model.
What's her secret? What is she hiding? Where is she going?
I can't say I have, Paul. Deadly Weapons. Why do I recognise that name, though? And it is quite funny that we mention these films and you've just bought them recently. Maybe it's a sign. But I've just cracked open a can of Elvis juice in a 440ml can from Asda. It's actually tasting a lot better than the last can I had, which was direct from Brewdog, since they've done their recipe change and lowered the ABV. Why? Why? What have you achieved by lowering the ABV of probably your best core range beer? I don't know. It's ridiculous. And even though I've just shown a trailer / TV spot for it, never watched Ms. 45. And I really need to, because it just looks like a really fucking awesome film. So back on with it, folks. Next up, we've got the Artificial Eye release of the Three Colours trilogy from Krzysztof Kieslowski. I didn't say that correct. So it's got 3 colours blue, 3 colours white, and 3 colours red, and also has the documentary from 1994 about Kieslowski. Kieslowski, is that how you pronounce it? I'm not too sure. As soon as you see that girl that stars in Deadly Weapons, you'll remember it anyway. Oh, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will, Paul. But yeah, these are really good films. I think my favourite out of the three is White, because I've got my headphones in, and obviously I just wanted to yank you to my level. But yeah, some good sort of like 90s. Mind you, would this more be like the late 80s when these were made? 1993 to 1994. Starring Juliette Binoche, Julie Delphi, Irene Jacob, and I didn't realise Jean-Louis Trintignant was in this as well, or in one of the films. But yeah, a really good trilogy. And that's all I have to say on them. And I think the dust from these films is getting to me because I'm starting to struggle to speak. This is actually tasting really good. And next up, we've got The Brood by David Lynch. This is the Anchor Bay release that has the US and the UK version. I like this film a lot. One of my favourite David Lynch films. Not David Lynch, Cronenberg. One of my favourite David Cronenberg films. Because it's got Oliver Reed in it. Plus, I like the ending, the sort of twist on this one. Yeah, Oliver Reed, baby. Chesty Morgan. There you go, Pedro. It's 10:30. You've lost. Are you trying to fuck for my head, Paul? But yeah, that's a good film. I was dead cheap as well. Really good release. It was like £3. I picked that up. The Devils. We've already had a bit of discussion about this. Aside from getting like bootlegs, I think this is the only real way you can get a full, as uncut as possible print of it. Don't know why Warner Brothers have still got a massive fucking stick up their arse in terms of releasing this uncut. I don't understand it. It'll make them a load of money. It's actually not that controversial. You can see much worse stuff on TV nowadays. But I don't want to take away from the film because I still think it's a fantastic visual film. And Ken Russell, you can't go wrong. Even though my favourite Ken Russell film is Tommy, which is here. Now, have you ever seen a dustier DVD? Yeah, I love Tommy. Just an awesome, awesome film. And just the sheer scope of this and The Devils just absolutely amazes me every time I watch them. Plus, I'm a big fan of The Who as well. That usually helps. Next up, we've got an independent film by Matt Freckingham and Jason Empey. And this is Turnheel, which is basically a short film made in the UK. Turnheel digital copy. Oh, you get a digital copy as well. And it's basically about a guy who's like he's either a wrestler or he dresses up like a wrestler, and he's in the countryside and he kills people. So it's sort of like in the same vein as the sort of extreme films such as, you know, Fred Vogel's sort of like August Underground trilogy, and like Lucifer Valentine stuff and those sort of things. Not the biggest fan of those. And I tell you what really did wind me up. I'm a big fan of the guinea pig films. So when I heard there was going to be the American guinea pig films with some, you know, heavy hitters within the sort of like underground alternative film industry, the ones I've seen have been pretty shit. Although Fred Vogel's film, the one, I mean, even the Soska sisters came from that sort of, and look what happened to them. But yeah, Fred Vogel, it's like the last interview or something like that, which I just happened upon a trailer last night. That looks like it could be good, but I was never a big fan of the August Underground stuff. I don't know. But I think there's also a little bit of that sort of like German shot on video aesthetic, like, you know, Jörg Buttgereit with this. I remember it being an entertaining little film, actually. Yeah. Nice. Next up, import-export. There's a nice image of a woman's bottom for you. This is a film that I remember watching on Film 4 about 10 or so years ago. Pretty much like half an hour in, and just watching it, loving it. Never knowing the name of the film for years. You know, and you can like do very vague Google search of specific scenes in films, and then you'll sometimes happen upon the actual film itself. Took me ages. Stumbled across this DVD in FOP for like £3. Just that, I mean, it's not because there's a woman's bottom on the front cover, obviously. But I saw it, it's like £3. I was going through a lot of sort of like European films. And then I turned it round and I recognised that scene there. I was like, I need to pick this up. And it was the film that I'd been searching for fucking ages. And it's an amazing film by Ulrich Seidel, or Seidel, who did the Paradise trilogy, which are good films as well. And yeah, this is just one of those, not much happens in it, but it's just so engrossing. And I don't know why I'm sat back. But yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome film. Import, export. There's just something about it. They're just normal people going about their lives, find themselves in some somewhat extraordinary circumstances. Excuse me, but it just pans out wonderfully. Highly recommend them. Then we've got Wim Wenders' The American Friend, starring Dennis Hopper, and I can't remember Bruno Ganz, who of course in the world of memes known for his portrayal as Hitler. I can't remember what the story is on this. It's sort of like a noir-esque film from what I remember, and I've just realised that there's a commentary with Wim Wenders and Dennis Hopper, and I love Dennis Hopper, so I'll have to listen to that commentary. But yeah, another sort of like cheapy that I picked up at FOP. Next up, my favourite film of all time. I think we went into great detail about that on the Blu-ray video. 24-Hour Party People. I could invest our whole podcast talking about why I love this film. And yeah, awesome stuff. Ironically, this very old DVD release is much better than the current Blu-ray release, and that annoys me greatly. Let's see. Import Export is brilliant, says Billionaires. Found it in CX years after watching it. Exactly the same story as me. There's just something so satisfying about coming across stuff like that. Are you aware of the iceberg meme, which is everywhere now? No, I'm not. What's that in relation to? I think it's just real and brutal. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it could happen to anyone. 24-Hour Party people go to parties in Manchester, of course. Let the Mancunian parties resume in a couple of weeks. You know, all those all-nighters that I participate in warehouses illegally. Then we've got a couple of music films. We've got Punk Attitude, great documentary by Don Letts, but it's a punk documentary, so you've seen it countless times. I think the best thing about this is sort of like the supplemental material that you get with it, or like the additional interviews and stuff. Plus, something that rarely gets my juices flowing is you get a couple of reprints of a Sniffing Glue magazine, or the zine from back in the day, and just that sort of stuff. I need to make a zine. I've always wanted to make a zine, and I don't know why I don't, because I've got access to a printer and a scanner at work. I'll just do it on company money. Yeah, that's a rare music punk documentary. Highly recommended. It doesn't just talk about the UK punk, it talks about the whole of the punk, as you can see by the names of the bands on the fronts. Then we've got Rude Boy, the Clash film. And yeah, it's a really badly acted sort of film when you really think about it, but I don't know, it's just the rawness of seeing some of these Clash performances, one of the best bands of all time. And yeah, it's just a good film. It's a good sort of like peeking into the window of what was going on at that time. Produced and directed by Jack Hassan and David Mingay. And again, it's sort of got like they've done the booklet in the style of a zine. I love that aesthetic, the whole DIY sort of stuff. Some great performances captured on this. And yeah, it's got the lyrics to all the songs that appeared in there. Shows you all the places that they went to. It's just basically following the Clash on, I can't remember what tour it was. I think it was a couple of years before London Calling, or just around the eve of the conception of London Calling. But it's got some of the best Clash performances on film. So if you're a Clash fan, you're going to love it anyway. Let's see. Ripley's Game. Sorry I missed that one a while ago. Parties Under the M6. You know it. Iceberg, Tears, Meme, Disturbing Movies, for example, and a plethora. Okay. No, I don't remember that. So I remember when I was really heavily into the film community, there were like sort of like splinter groups. They're not fucking terrorist organisations, people. Don't use splinter groups. But who would like the top 10 most disturbing films I own in my collection, and that sort of stuff. A lot of them are just really boring. Sorry about that. Call came through. There may actually have to be a part 3 of this because there's a lot of DVDs. Let's see. Anyway, let's continue. I hope you can hear me again. We've got another Polizio Tesci film. I keep showing it over here when there's no camera over here. And this is Squadra Volante, directed by Stelvio Massi, starring Thomas Milian. It's almost got Ray Lovelock in there as well. A nice Italian release. And it's got Thomas Milian in a flat cap. I don't think it's the most exciting of examples of the style, but I remember enjoying it nonetheless. I think I am going to go till 10 o'clock because I know I'm just going to get fucking interrupted loads during this stream. So there's going to be a part 3, which I'm going to do next week. So I'm going to try and get through these DVDs as much as possible. I want to do my own thing, but people just love to fucking just interfere. Do you know what I mean? If I wanted to do something with you, if I wanted to see you and spend time with you, I'd do it. But yeah. it is what it is. Criterion. I don't really have many Criterions in the collection, unfortunately. There's conspiracy theories, Iceberg also. Lots of. I'll have to look into that. That sounds quite interesting. I'd imagine. I've not seen this meme, but does it show an iceberg, like above water and then underneath water? And is it something like I'm getting my 4chan head going now, like sort of like this is what we're told, which is like the tip of the iceberg, and then what's real is underneath the water. Do you know what I'm getting at? Is that what it is? But yeah, another. Well, I say 24-Hour Party People's my favourite film of all time. This film, sure as shit, gives it a run for its money. Pierre Paolo Pasolini's 120 Days of Sodom. Just a beautiful yet bleak film. And this Criterion release is awesome. It's not being kept well, which is a real shame. But I love these Criterion releases where you get all in the card packaging. You get a big, hefty booklet. Look at that. You could kill a child with that. Or if you're I was going to say libertarian. That's not wrong. If you're a libertine, you could do whatever you wanted with them. But yeah, awesome stuff. The BFI release is equally as good. You sacrifice some of the supplemental material on this release, but you get more conversations about Nazis in that version of the film. Because God forbid we talk about Nazis. Then we've got La Dolce Vita by Fellini. Never watched it, mainly because I want to wait for the right moment, because it's a film that's like, it's 174 minutes long, so it's nearly 3 hours. But just the imagery, the screenshots and screen grabs I've seen, I mean, who wouldn't want to replicate that scene there? I mean, if I was like 10 stone lighter, I probably would. Let's see. I am a fan of Solo and Sodom's Ghost. What's Below is most obscure secret. I was thinking that. And Surf Nazis Must Die. I never watched that. That's like 80s cheese, isn't it? Is that a trauma film? Then we've got probably one of the most low-budget DVD releases and prints I've ever experienced. And this is Alberto Lindsey's Labyrinth. Or Eyeball, I think is an alternative name. Or Labyrinth des Schreckens from Marketing Film. You know, it's a sign of quality when the release is, well, when the company's called Marketing Film. Yeah, this is a terrible copy. It was so bad that when I actually watched the 88 Films Blu-ray, I thought I was watching a completely different fucking film. Beautiful score, though, by Bruno Nicolai. Absolutely flawless. I've got the DVD of Surf Nazis Must Die because I'm a cunt. Well, we're going to showcase that comment there because I'm edgy and I'm not family-friendly content, so... But you're not a cunt. You're a bit of a twat, but you're not a cunt. But I love you dearly, Harry. Paul says, John Hill from Midnight 1982 and Dark Craven 1989 is the corner in 5MD. You can't see him, but you can hear his voice. Okay. Interesting. I like little tidbits like that. Next up, we've got the No Shame DVD release of Stelvio Massi's Convoy Busters. This was, at some point, really hard to find, but if you persist and constantly search eBay and Amazon, you'll sometimes find desperate film owners wanting to get some money selling it. And unfortunately, it's not a really exciting entry into Merli's filmography, but because I'm a massive fan of Maurizio Merli, I'm obviously going to keep it. And I love the fact you get this sort of like comic book in there as well. And I love the fact they've just basically taken Steve McQueen from Bullet and just drawn a different head on him. Milano Criminale. Hasn't this got something to do with Maurizio Merli's son? Or does Maurizio Merli's son get interviewed in this release? I can't remember. But yeah, the No Shame stuff. If you happen across them at a good price, highly recommended. Then we've got, classing it up a bit now. Just gone and sold a load of gaming shite CEX. Now want to peruse the aisles and pick up 100 odd DVDs. Definitely do it. Watch Wendigan here on YouTube for the different iceberg. Do you know what? I am genuinely really interested in that. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, Harry, I've got that sort of like film collecting bug once again, and there's actually a really cool box set from Arrow coming out in July of like some crime films split so actually. I think I talked about this last time, so we won't talk about it too much. But yeah, nothing better than getting some bargains from CEX. So we're classing up the joint now by, and I want to get this on Blu-ray, get a better version, although I really like this release. We've got Belle de Jour from Louis Buñuel, starring the absolutely gorgeous Catherine Deneuve. And I love it because you get a really classy postcard. But yeah, it's one of those films where she's just so perfect. You don't really see much nudity in it, but it's sensual as fuck, which is something I can happily get behind. And if anybody knows how to meet cute French girls, then feel free to let me know. Speaking of France, segue. I've got Irreversible, Gaspar Noé's classic, with one of the most brutal scenes in cinema history, which everyone knows about. But what I just love the way he makes his films. They're just so chaotic. They're just see. I'm not a hardened drug user, but I'd imagine that's what it'd be like. I mean, you've got Vincent Cassel, Monica Bellucci, a very dusty release. And yeah, it's just what I love about French cinema in one film. And it's just a really good film. The way it pans out, it starts at the end and then goes backwards. Done beautifully well. I love the nihilism of Gaspar Noé. And I'd love to make films like that. If I was to ever pull my finger out and actually make films, it would be not in the style of Gaspar Noé, but I just love how chaotic. Another call. I am definitely wrapping this up at 10 o'clock, just because you don't have to endure constant me getting disconnected. But yeah, Harry. Thomas Bangalter, indeed. His score for this film is fucking awesome. I mean, Thomas Bangalter's just a genius anyway. But I love the song Rectum. Just that droning, pulsating, humming electro. Just the whole thing is just perfect. Looks fantastic. It's well acted. It's a little bit brutal in places, but real at the same time. And it's just got an absolutely fantastic score. Let's see. I want to do a Spoons Carpet Style Trip CX to find one of the best quality DVDs. The one in Manchester is good. So after you've done your partying in Manchester, you can then very hungover. Don't know why you'd want to be hungover in CEX. I think the smell of gaming nerds who don't use deodorant would make you feel sick. And that's a very bad generalisation. I feel instantly guilty. It smelled Danove. As soon as I accidentally pull on these headphones, it falls. Danove. Yeah, I've always struggled with that pronunciation. I Stand Alone by Gaspar Noé is awesome too. I've seen bits of that, but isn't the guy from that film, it's his character at the start of Irreversible in the bedroom facing the club, isn't it? So it's sort of like a little nod or connection between those two films. Because he's like a butcher, isn't he? We'll have to see the Scouse one has. All the DVDs are stolen, I've heard. Yeah, it's just DVD cases. That's all you'll get in the Liverpool CEX. Let's see. We'll look at a couple more. We've got some porn and then a couple of box sets, and then we'll call it a day. Probably one of the best pieces of adult cinema ever, and that is Henry Paris's, aka Radley Metzger's, The Opening of Misty Beethoven. Now, as you can see, I am a big fan of adult films from yesteryear. When I watch these films, I'm not watching them to get myself off. I subscribe to people on OnlyFans for that. I watch them because you don't realise how many good films there are from this era, from that genre. Real filmmakers, script writers, actors, actresses, cast and crews. I mean, of course, you're going to get those really cheap, schlocky, sort of stereotypical bam chicka wah wah sort of porn things, and there are tropes and stereotypes. But I tell you what, this is just an absolutely brilliant film, and I can't get the DVD case shut. It's just a fantastic film, and Jamie Gillis is just legitimately one of my favourite actors. Oh my god, I can't close this fucking DVD case because I'm an idiot. Let's see. Also, Constance Money, who is there an image of it? Oh, it's a bit more up there. But Misty Beethoven. Oh, just a good film. It's just a damn good film. And this release from Distropix comes with both obviously the fully uncut print and the softcore print, both of which are worth your time. Let's see. Yeah, it's Philippe Nahon that plays the same Butch character. Yeah, I thought so. I'll have to revisit that as well. Is there a good English-friendly release of I Stand Alone that's fully uncut? Because I think some of Gaspar Noé's films are quite hard to find fully uncut in the UK. Climax was fantastic. Loved it. Totally made up for that shit show that was Love. Although the storyline of Love 3D, wouldn't mind that life. Living in France as a struggling filmmaker with your cute French girlfriend, and then a new neighbour appears who's also cute and very French, and then you form a menage a trois relationship. Come on now. Who doesn't want to go to Paris if that shit happens? Michael Haneke, that French connection, and clear visible dust there, which is doing nothing for my nostrils and throat at the moment. Yeah, Michael Haneke. Is he really a filmmaker? Is he sort of an academic? Well, he's both, really, because he still, as far as I can see, he still teaches at university. So you're not just going to get a film from Michael Haneke. You're going to get lots of philosophy. You're going to get lots of sort of like moral compass type discussions. You're going to get challenged for why you're watching this sort of film, especially when it comes to the likes of funny games and that sort of stuff. But The Piano Teacher is probably my favourite Michael Haneke film. Isabelle Huppert is just phenomenal in that film. But all of these are really, really good. His first one, The Seventh Continent, I love how that's staggered. Different stories, just cutting from one to another in different sort of times. We've got Hidden, otherwise known as Cachet, where it's sort of like you're the person who's sending the videotapes to the actor. Funny Games, both the not a big fan of the US version of Funny Games, and it's almost a little bit hypocritical. Am I doing now? No, I'm talking about 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance. That wasn't his first film. First one was The Seventh Continent. Benny's Video. Just some really good, interesting discussions to be had with Michael Haneke's cinema. And I like that. I like the fact that you can watch them at face value, but you can also like look what's underneath and discuss it. I like that a lot because I'm a pretentious prick, but you already knew that. And then a box set that I've hardly watched from a director who I know very little about, and that's actually, I think this can take the title of being the dustiest DVD in my collection. And this is Rainer Werner Fassbinder's Commemorative Collection, Volume 1, 69 to 62. This contains Love is Colder Than Death, Katzelmacher, Gods of the Plague, The American Soldier, The Niklashausen Journey, Rio das Mortes, Beware of the Holy Whore, The Merchant of Four Seasons, and The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. One film that's always interesting. It's sort of like an 8-hour film or something like that he made. I don't really know too much about Fassbinder, but he fascinates me, and I've just never really got around to watching these films. I watched a few of them, but I need to dive deep. So if anyone's got any recommendations of what Fassbinder films I should be watching, then let me know. Anyway, so I'm not going to go till 10:30 just because any minute now I'm going to get another phone call. It's going to interrupt the stream. It's going to fuck the video and the sound up. I can't be arsed with that. I'll probably do the last part of this sometime this week, just so we can get this sorted and then get back on track with stuff. So if you just bear with me 1 second, we'll put another trailer on, and then we'll end proceedings. And then I can already see a phone call imminent with the message I've just received. So other people, thank you. So just bear with me 1 sec, and we shall watch another trailer. And I'm doing that again. That's not an active camera. This is.
They spoke of it first in whispers. Then it took the media by storm.
I have existed from the morning of the world, and I shall exist until the last star falls from the heavens. Although I have taken the form of Caius Caligula, I am a god.
Bob Guccione and Penthouse Films International present Caligula.
You amateur.
Amateur!
No treachery could equal his evil. No evil was more treacherous.
He's mad!
Caligula, the emperor who devoured Rome.
Crawl! 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 I hate them!
Malcolm McDowell, Teresa Ann Savoy, Helen Mirren, Peter O'Toole, John Gielgud. No rumor can match the reality. Caligula, rated R.
So we're going to end on 70s audio loops. Going to end on one of the greatest shit shows of all time. I fucking love this film. It's a train wreck. It's an epic, riddled with production problems. Bob Guccione from Penthouse, Tinto Brass. Then you've got the likes of Peter O'Toole, Helen Mirren, Malcolm McDowell, all legitimate actors interlaced with scenes of hardcore pornography behind majestic backdrops. What more could you want in a film? Absolutely awesome. Not as extreme as I expected, but still a fantastic film nonetheless. And who's this released from? I don't know who's released this. I didn't even know that Gore Vidal actually wrote the screenplay to this. So you've got all of these people involved in what is essentially just a really high production piece of smut that happens to include the likes of Peter O'Toole and Malcolm McDowell. And fucking hell, how gorgeous was Helen Mirren back in the day? Ooh. Excuse me. So yeah, gonna leave it there. I can't believe Gore Vidal wrote the screenplay for this. That's more surprising, obviously, the Penthouse Bob Guccione stuff. But yeah, this is a good release. This is released by General Media Entertainment, whoever they are. Image Entertainment. No, there we go. Image Entertainment. I know Arrow did a release of this. But yeah, awesome train wreck of a film. Fantastic stuff. So yeah, that's it for now. That's that part of the podcast. There will be a part 3. You could do podcasts where we only talk movies also. Yeah, I'd like to just have like a discussion about film. And just, put the link in the comments. And whoever wants to join, talk about film. Just have a general discussion. You'll get trolls in there. You'll probably get porn bots in there where it makes out it's a real person. Next thing you've got a big phallus going into a gaping arsehole. But hey ho, that's the fun of it, really. But yeah, there's still quite a lot to get through. But because I keep getting interrupted, I'm going to cut it short because it's unfair and it's annoying. Isn't in Caligula Michelle Sarvi also? I think so. I think I remember seeing his face. Obviously, he's not mentioned on the sort of the main heavy hitters, but I'm sure he did play a part in that. I'm not sure. I'm thinking of that for the Italian director. I don't know. Oh, John Steiner was in it though. Morello D'Angelo, Giancarlo Badesi, Leopoldo Trieste, Paolo Bonicelli, Teresa Ann Savoy, don't know why I said that in Italian accent, but Peter O'Toole. Peter O'Toole in a porno. Who'd have thunk it? Anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Apologies that there's been a bit of a gap between this episode and the last episode. That won't be repeated because I'll try and get the next episode done as quickly as possible so we can wrap up the DVD collection. I've enjoyed the discussion. I've enjoyed the company. Massive thank you all for joining us. And yeah, if you've got any comments, suggestions for episodes, let me know in the comments. I think once we've done this, we're going to do top 10 films of all time, and we may open that to be more of a discussion thing. So if anyone's potentially interested in coming on to a live stream, then let me know as well. He was Joe D'Amato's protege, so I think so he was in it. That makes sense. I'd love to have been Joe D'Amato's protege. I just love to be involved with those sorts of people. Anyway, so thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll join us next time. And of course, we're going to play ourselves out with another trailer. And I keep doing the laptop, even though camera's on the phone. I'll never learn, will I? Cheers for watching, folks. You all take care, stay safe, and I shall see you quite soon, hopefully.
Police headquarters. Person to Captain Sater, please.
Headquarters to 619. Captain Sater, come in.
Sater here, I'm busy.
Okay, everybody, please down.
Margie! Margie!
She passed out. It looks serious.
Call an ambulance, I'll meet you at the hospital.
I think you'd better come here.
She went from man to man, from bed to bed. She wanted everything from life. Too much.
You're having a thing with my kid's sister.
That's ridiculous.
Now we know all about Louise's death, don't we?
No.
When you heard she was ill, you got the bright idea to end your problem permanently.
Who's there?
Suppose Louise and Carrie were killed because of the necklace.
Is this what you're seeking?
Yes.
How can my sister ever get involved with someone like your brother?
Someone like my brother. You're always passing judgments, aren't you, Captain?
When you and Louise stopped seeing each other, did she start dating anyone else?
No, not that I know of. According to your sister's autopsy report, she was poisoned.